What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video. Or in this one, going to be talking a little bit about the wide receiver position, right? A hot topic in Colts Nation. Alec Pierce, should he get paid? Should he not? And this is one that we were going to explore anyways. I was kind of waiting to see how the team performed through this early part of the season. This was going to be about the time we start having these conversations going into next year. And I think after this past week, an answer on at least this situation became incredibly clear. And at least so to start this off, yes, it feels like we need to pay Alec Pierce for how he's developed, for what he does for us, for what he does for this offense. It just feels like paying him would be the right move. Now, it would be nice if you could just pay everybody, but in the NFL, you have a salary cap to abide by. And things are going to get difficult for the Colts. I knew that we had contracts coming up. When I went and looked at it, we have more than I realized. So going through, looking at, now we have plenty of guys that are still under contract for next season. So the estimated value on over the cap right now is $54.39 million that the Colts have an open cap next year. That could be more with the way the salary cap continues to go up. We could see that number go up to 60 million or so, but we'll see how that goes, right? So rough estimate, somewhere around $55 million that the Colts are going to have available for them for new money next year, which I guess going into next year kind of makes sense with all these other guys that are going to end up needing contracts. You give them contracts, then the money goes into the future, right? Looking at 2027, the available cap space, we have 21 people on the active roster right now that are under contract going into 2027. And of those 21, only 4 of them have any guaranteed money at all in that 2027 season. That's going to be Bernard Raymond, who just got paid, so we're not going to have to worry about him. But then the others are young guys, Liatu Latu, Tyler Warren, and JTT, right? Everybody else, no guaranteed money, right? And some of those guys are other rookies and second-year guys that don't get any guaranteed money in their rookie contracts. But looking at 2026, right, the guys with no guaranteed money that are going to want new contracts, is just how it goes. Good players want new contracts before their contracts are up. Michael Pittman Jr., Quentin Nelson, Jonathan Taylor, Grover Stewart, Kenny Moore, Zaire Franklin, Ashton Doolin, Rigoberto Sanchez, right? I guess you could throw Luke Rhodes into there as well if you really wanted to. Long snapper, very good long snapper, one of the best in the NFL. So, like, there are going to be a lot of guys that are going to be chasing after new contracts, right? So it'll be interesting after this year with how good the Colts look right now. Like, will they decide to go ahead and pay all these guys, right? We have young guys in the secondary that we don't even get to see this year. So in terms of some of the other guys, right, Xavier Howard, hopefully not on the team for very much longer this year, but definitely not going to be on the team next year, right? We get Justin Wally back and Hunter Wohler, be able to insert them into this defense. They would be playing a pretty big role for us right now. Unfortunately, they're out for the year. But there are a lot of guys that need to get paid. And Alec Pierce is one of those guys that his contract ends at the end of this year. So his money is going to count toward the roughly $55 million salary cap. So the question is, what do you give him when you're looking to the future and looking at the 2027 season and 2028 season, right? You start looking toward the future. How does that factor into? How would that contract work into it, right? A.D. Mitchell clearly not ready right now. Now, luckily, A.D. came into the league at a very young age, right? So he's still a very young player, still time to develop, still time to mature, and continue to get better. Like, in terms of talent on the field, like, might legitimately be our most talented receiver. It's the other things that come with being a receiver in the NFL that he needs to work on, and we saw that come to a head against the Rams. So some things he needs to work on there. So it'd be valuable for us to go ahead and pay Alec Pierce and have AD continue to be a fourth wide receiver, and have continue to have that kind of depth on the team. And then at some point, like, the guys that I named that have no guaranteed money next year are guys that I want to see retire as Colts, right? When you're talking about Pitt, talking about Q, you're talking about JT, Grove, K-Mo, right? These are guys that need to retire as a Colt, right? So, and these are guys that are all going to warrant big chunks of money. So it'll be interesting to see what the Colts decide to do. But in terms of the conversation that so many people are having surrounding Alec Pierce, I'm right there with you. Alec Pierce needs to get paid. What does that contract look like is going to be very interesting because, you know, throughout his career, he's never been a guy that, you know, is getting a whole bunch of targets throughout the game, especially in this offense. And with who we have, we spread the ball around a lot. We have JT to be able to run the ball. We're the balanced attack, right? We aren't the Bengals. We're not throwing the ball 40 times a game, right? So from that aspect, it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do. But he brings so much value, not only as a receiver, but as a blocker, right? You just imagine the 53-yard touchdown run by Jonathan Taylor. If that's Alec Pierce is such a good blocker. He gets in position and is so big and so strong, has done a really good job adding on his strength. You see his frame nowadays. He's still a skinnier guy, but he's definitely beefed up a bit, pretty ripped up, pretty shredded. Alec Pierce is big. He's strong. He does a really good job blocking, and that block for Jonathan Taylor would have never been a hold if Alec Pierce is in the game, because Alec gets into position and flattens that DB with how the DB was out of position. So all in all, yes, absolutely, Alec Pierce needs to get paid by the Colts. That contract, if I had to just throw a number, I'd say $20 million, right? With what these receivers are making nowadays, with his role as a receiver and a deep threat, and how important he is to what we're trying to do, like having him on the field makes the offense operate the way it does because he spaces it out. You have to worry about Alec Pierce. That takes people away from Michael Pittman Jr. That takes people away from Tyler Warren. That takes people away from the line of scrimmage so JT can continue to get off what he needs to get off through the game, specifically in the second half. So Alec Pierce is a vital piece to this team, and I'd like to see him continue being a part of this team. I'd like to continue to see us have depth at that wide receiver position. So please, Indianapolis, go ahead and pay Alec Pierce. There's no better. I was really waiting for a week like week 4 to see, do we need to pay Alec Pierce? I wanted to see A.D. Mitchell get on the field. If he puts it all together, then we have a lot of guys that are going to need to be paid. We have other holes to fill. If AD can fill that second receiver spot, then let's just not pay Alec Pierce. That would hurt, and I'd hate to see him go, but that's just the reality of the NFL. I thought, yeah, maybe Alec Pierce could be expendable. He is not. Alec Pierce is incredibly important to what we're doing, so I think he deserves a contract. Again, my guess is going to be somewhere in the 15 to 20 million range, probably closer to 20, 22 if I had to put a number on it and had to put my own guess out there. But we'll see what happens. Does another team offer him more money? By all means, he could go into free agency and end up leaving, which is why we should get it done during the season. I think after week 4, what we saw from AD this past week, he's clearly not ready. This is the time where you go to Alec Pierce's agent and say, okay, let's start negotiating. Let's try to figure this out. By the time you get to the trade deadline, before you get to the trade deadline, figure out a contract so that you know you're going to have him for the future, and then you can make a trade for a guy that, whether it's one of these guys on their last year, like a Reek Woolen or a Trey Hendrickson, or if it's somebody else you want to make a move for, you're trying to compete, so you're trying to fill holes, right? However they need to do it, before the trade deadline, we should get a deal done with Alec Pierce. That's my opinion on this situation. Of course, as always, I would love to hear what you guys think about this. Should we pay Alec Pierce? If we should, when should we pay him? If you don't think we should pay Alec Pierce, why don't you think we should pay Alec Pierce? What are you thinking on this whole subject? Love to see where you guys are at on this whole thing. And of course, if you enjoy the content, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we drop any content on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.